What if I told you that the moment you signed your loan agreement, the bank turned your signature into a financial asset and never actually gave you their money? Now, in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what happens to your promissory note after you sign it, how it becomes a negotiable instrument, and how banks profit from it long before you make your first payment. Now, I've studied banking law, negotiable instruments, and credit systems, and I'm here to show you exactly what funds the loan and how your signature becomes someone else's profit. Now, before we dive into this video, thank you guys for watching this video. Remember to leave a like on this video because when you leave a like, this actually helps the algorithm. You dig me? The algorithm pushes videos like this. And when the algorithm pushes videos like this, we are actually going to grow and get this information out that nobody is talking about. You dig me? Nobody on the internet is talking about this. So make sure you guys like this video. Number 2, if you're brand new, hit the subscribe button. Turn on the post notifications because I do post Monday through Friday. All right. Now, what we're going to be talking about today is what happens behind the scenes as it pertains to a promissory note. Okay. And a lot of times we think that we are signing loan agreements, but the reality is that we are signing promissory notes, which is a promise to pay note. Okay. So we're going to talk about what a promissory note actually is, how the bank treats your note. We're going to talk about the aspect of securitization and what truly happens behind the scenes. And we're going to talk about why this matters legally. So make sure you stay all the way to the end because we're going to be dropping some gems. You dig me? Now, let's dive straight in. First thing I want to talk about is the aspect of a promissory note. Okay. A promissory note, give me one second. A promissory note is a written promise to pay a specific amount of money to a lender or holder at a certain time. Okay. This is also a negotiable instrument under UCC Article 3. Okay. When you go to UCC 3-104, under UCC 3- come on, my baby. UCC 1-304. It talks about what the definition of a negotiable instrument. A negotiable instrument means an unconditional promise or order to pay a fixed amount of money with or without interest, or other charges described in the promise or order if it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Now, the whole point of a promissory note is it is your written promise to pay a debt. Okay. And this carries legal value the moment you signed it, like a check or bond. So when people are thinking that they're signing a loan agreement, the reality is that they are signing a financial asset to the bank. You dig me? So under UCC 3-104, a promissory note is a promise to pay that can be transferred and enforced. Okay, your promise isn't just a document, it's a financial product. You dig me? See, the banks won't tell you that. They'll tell you that this is a agreement. This is a loan agreement where you agreed to pay back a loan. But what if I told you that this wasn't even a loan agreement? This was an actual note that the bank is going to make money off of immediately when you sign it. Would you look at it differently? All right. So let's just talk about how the bank treats your note. Okay. The bank doesn't lend you pre-existing money. They deposit your signed notes as an asset. Okay, they then record that asset on their books, creating a matching loan in your name. Okay, so the reality is that you funded the transaction by signing the instrument and they monetized your promise. Okay, so when you look at the book Modern Money Mechanics, which essentially is the Federal Reserve's book, it says loans are created when credit is issued based on the borrower's promise. So the bank didn't fund you, your signature funded them. So when you look at the definition of the word deposit, oh my God. When you look at the definition of the word deposit, you dig me? Under 12 USC, 12 CFR 204.2, the definition of deposit means the unpaid balance of money or its equivalent received. You dig me? So a lot of times when people, and when a bank says, well, we deposited money in your account, they literally just told you that they owe you money. It's funny that they'll make you think deposit means that they're actually giving you money. But the reality is the definition of deposit means the unpaid balance of money. So they're literally telling you that they're giving you something that was unpaid. They're telling you that they didn't pay it back. They're telling you that they didn't give you the money. They literally deposited. Dig me? When you look at 12 USC, powers and duties of bank, 12 USC 1431, powers and duties of banks, it outlines the powers and duties of the bank. Okay, it says each federal home loan bank shall have the power to subject to the rules and regulations prescribed by the director to borrow and give securities therefore and to pay interest thereon, to issue debentures, bonds, and other obligations upon such terms and conditions as the director may approve. So long story short, the key thing is the fact that they only borrow and give security. Now, who do they borrow from? Us, the Federal Reserve. Okay, we give them the ability to borrow from the Federal Reserve by giving them the promissory note, and then they give the securities to us. Security means money. But what if I told you that they're not really giving you securities? Okay, and all they're doing, they're not even doing their necessary duty. Okay, they're creating credit and depositing it in your account. Literally a book entry saying that it's an unpaid balance. There is an unpaid balance. You know what I mean? So when you fill out that promissory note, they actually record that as an asset on their book. Okay. And they just create a matching loan in your name. Okay. So the reality is, do you understand that you funded the transaction by signing a promissory note? Okay. Because a lot of times we don't maneuver knowing that they're going to monetize our signature. We think we are signing an agreement to pay back money that was loaned to us. But what if this wasn't even a true loan agreement? This was just a financial asset that you signed off on so that they can be able to sell it to Wall Street, so that they can be able to borrow the money from the Federal Reserve. Okay. Even in the book, it says that they only make money off of our promises to pay. So that's how the bank treats your note in reality. You think that you're signing an agreement, a loan, or whatever the case may be, but the reality is you're not signing a loan. You are signing something that is a financial product to the bank. I hope you guys gathering that. Okay, a lot of people watch these videos and they won't gather that simple piece, and will probably still have a conversation with me, and this is a point that they're missing. They're missing the aspect that the loan is already paid for. And it's not that you have to necessarily prove this to them, but it's more about they have to disprove this to you. So if your reality prior to this, or they going based off of your ignorance, and your reality is that you owe them, then yes, you owe them. But if your reality is that they've already been made whole and they already made money, then they'll treat you differently. Okay. See, we don't ask for permission when we are asserting our rights. We just assert our rights. And if somebody doesn't allow us to assert our rights, then we go ahead and treat them as such. That'll be a violation. Okay. So let's just talk about what happens after they sign your promissory note, or after you sign your promissory note, which is the aspect of securitization. Now, what is securitization? One sec while I pull that up. So when you look at the definition of securitization, there's probably multiple definitions of securitization, but when you type it in on Google, it's very simple. I mean, a lot of people don't just type these terms in on Google so they can find out for themselves, but I'll do it for you, my baby. Securitization is the process of converting non-marketable assets into marketable securities. Okay. It involves packaging and selling pools of assets like mortgage or credit card receivables as securities to investors. You know what I mean? So it's crazy, yo, because they won't tell you that they're literally going to sell your loan agreement or your promissory note. Okay. So the promissory note is often sold to investors, securitized in mortgage-backed securities, okay, and transferred to a trust or a REMIC structure. Okay. The note may be endorsed, stamped, and sold multiple times, often without your knowledge. Okay. So what happens is they're going to turn your knowledge, or they're going to turn your promise into profit. And then after that, they're going to still have you pay interest on it. Doesn't really make sense that they're going to do something like that. Okay. This is exactly why the knowledge is more important than the actual step-by-step process, because a lot of us can know the step-by-step process. One person can tell you, oh, I have this step-by-step procedure on how to do X, Y, and Z, but they don't fully know they don't even know the true rules or the true knowledge or their rights themselves. So when they run a step-by-step procedure, all the company has to say that you can't do that. And once they say that you can't do that, then you're just going to stop. Okay? So once you understand that they are going to securitize your promissory note, you'll start to understand that you truly have the power. Okay? Because the only way they're going to make money is if you give them this promissory note. So you'll be very frugal with your signature. You actually treat your signature like gold, because that's what they are treating it like. They're just not going to tell you that. Okay? So here's the bad part about it. The fact that they do this stuff without your knowledge. Okay? If they do this without your knowledge, then that's when the fraudulent activity comes into play. Okay? The fraudulent activity is them also trying to double collect after they make money off of your promissory note. Okay? So that's securitization. Now, here's why this matters legally. Okay? Once the note is sold or securitized, then the original lender may no longer own the debt. And that's very key, because if you understand that it got sold, that means that they've been made whole. Then the reality is that the person that will attempt to collect on the debt from you, which is the quote unquote original lender, they don't even have the rights to they're not even a holder in due course to be able to come after you for the debt. It doesn't matter who it is. Okay? And especially a debt collector who bought your information, because if they bought your information, it doesn't mean they inherently own the asset or own the instrument or are entitled to enforce that instrument. It just means that they have your information. And they're playing a manipulation tactic, making you think that, oh, they are some lawyer of the company. And if they're a lawyer of the company, then they're speaking on behalf of the company. No, they just bought your information from the company, from the original lender. And I'm putting quotations because they're not an original lender. You are. You're the one that funded it. See, when you have this mindset, you have this mind frame, can't nobody take advantage of you. Okay? Because once it's sold, then that means that there's no true holder in due course. Okay? Because you signed a contract between you and that company. And the reality is you didn't really sign a contract between you and them, because they didn't even sign it. A contract is when two people are signing it. A contract is when there's real lawful consideration within the contract, meaning there is an even exchange. If my signature made you money up front and you didn't even give me money, you actually deposited money, which is an unpaid balance, what did you actually loan me? Did you loan me anything at all? And that's the question that you will ask them, okay? Did you actually fund the transaction, or did my signature fund the transaction? Did I give you the ability to create credit? Did you create credit, or did you actually give me money from your reserves? Yes or no? Okay. So the reality is that there's no true holder in due course. Okay, your payments go to a servicer and not the original creditor. See, the servicer is not going to come after you for the money, okay? Because they're using that money as a financial asset as well. Come on now. It's a financial asset. They make money off of it. So what makes you think they're going to try to come after you? See, the thing that them trying to come after you is so they can double dip and make more money. But you think it's about money, but it's more about control. It's more about that energy exchange. It's more about them wanting you to put time, labor, and attention into your work so you can think that you have to go to work to pay your bills and pay your debts. Because it's not about the money. They're good. They already made their money. They just want to have control over your energy. They want your energy. Dig me? It can get real deep. It can get real spiritual. If you've gotten all the way this far, we're 15 minutes in, go ahead and click the subscribe button, click the like button. You know what I mean? Because we are really diving into some information that nobody wants to talk about. Okay, I've done a video on this before, but I like to brush up on this video so that people can get more of a clear understanding. Okay, especially for the new people, man. If you're new, hit the subscribe button. All right, so then we go to UCC 3-301. ME 3-301. And it talks about the aspect of the person entitled to enforce the instrument. A person entitled to enforce the instrument means the holder of the instrument, a non-holder in possession of the instrument who has the rights of a holder, and a person who is not in possession of the instrument who is entitled to enforce the instrument pursuant to section 3-309. Okay. A person may be a person entitled to enforce the instrument, even though the person is not the owner of the instrument or is in wrongful possession of the instrument. So long story short, only a person entitled to enforce the instrument can collect. And the person that is entitled to enforce the instrument is somebody who has legal standing of the debt, someone who has the chain of title, someone who has lawful consideration of the instrument, meaning that they have to prove that they own it in order for them to collect. So the questions you'll ask them is, hey, look, if you can't prove that you own it, then why are you collecting on it? That's where you're shifting the burden of proof onto them. It's nothing for you to prove to them. A lot of times people think that, oh, I have to go and tell them these laws and tell them how to do their job. But no, you don't have to. They're purposely not doing their job. And that's part of the matrix. Dig me? The point is, there are remedies and things in place so that you can be able to get out. It's almost like there's a door, okay? To every in, there's an out. But what if I told you that they told you how to get in, but they're hiding away the out? Okay, you have to go find that door out, but it's there. And this is what we talk about on this channel, how to be able to find that out. It's not a myth. It's not a conspiracy. It's not anything theoretical. It's all financial truth. You dig me? So they must prove that they have legal standing. They must show you the chain of title. And in the chain of title, they should be the last person who owns it, who has the actual title. And they must prove that they have lawful consideration, meaning that there is an even exchange. If they cannot prove it, then they cannot collect on it. Understand me? Now, here's what you can do, okay? When you get a debt collector sending you a letter saying that you owe them, okay, or if that original lender, servicer, whatever the case may be, attempts to collect on a promissory note that you know you signed and they made money off of, you want to first request proof of ownership over the note. Okay, you want to ask them, did you securitize this promissory note after I gave it to you? Okay, you want to ask them these things first before you react and say, damn, they say I owe you. But all you have to do is just ask them these questions. You have a right within the Truth in Lending Act to ask them these questions. Okay. Number 2, you want to use debt validation or a qualified written request, which is essentially you asking them these questions that will not only prove the ownership of the loan, but also validate whether the debt is valid, prove whether they securitize the loan, prove whether they made money off the loan. But long story short, they must give you all the documentary evidence on the loan. If they can't give you the documentary evidence on the loan or the debt they say that you owe, then you don't have to pay, or better yet, they cannot collect. It's not about you don't have to pay. It's more of a they cannot collect. So if you take me to court and I've done this due diligence and you haven't given me what I asked for and I shifted the burden of proof onto you, I dare you to take me to court because I'm going to show them me ask you for these particular details and you couldn't give it to me. Well, the judge is going to say, well, did you finance the loan? Well, that's irrelevant because I asked them if they even financed me. Did they finance me or did I finance myself, my baby? So you can ask for a copy of the original note. You can ask for or about the endorsements or transfers. And you can ask for the chain of custody. Okay. You can also send a conditional acceptance demanding proof of value given. Okay. You can start challenging them on the contract law principles and the foundations. Okay. Because the reality is, the point is you want to control the narrative by challenging the source and not just the balance. Okay. Forget challenging how much money you owe. And if that is true, how about challenging where the money came from? You are well within your rights to ask them these things. You know that, right? I hope you guys gather that. So when you look at all of these things, we talk about the promissory note. Even when we go to what a promissory note looks like, some of us, since you've gotten all the way to the end, I'm going to show you guys a little tidbit of what a promissory note looks like. Okay. I mean, we went over this on my channel before, but a lot of people overcomplicate these things. Okay. You can literally go on Google, type in promissory note, click one of these things, and it's going to tell you exactly what a promissory note is. Let me pull out this. This is a little GIF. Here we go. In consideration of value received, the undersigned borrower does hereby promise to pay lender the amount of X amount of dollars upon which interest will accrue at blank, 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 blah, 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 blah. Okay. You can also say for value received, the borrower's name, X, Y, and Z. All of these are pretty simple. I mean, there's many different ways of promising to pay. Okay, here's a more simple one. On demand, we promise to pay at Imperial Bank of India, Rangoon, to whatever this says, for the value received, the sum of rupees 20,000, only with interest thereon from this date at the rate of 6.5%. Okay, you see how small that is? Just a simple promise to pay with your endorsed signature. This little piece of paper now becomes, and they actually have some stamps here, this little piece of paper right here is a financial asset to the bank. Okay, it says a promissory note. A debt instrument contains a written promise by one party to pay another party a definite sum of money, whether on demand or at a specified future date. Let's look at the definition of tender. Okay, Cornell law. Okay, they'll say, well, you need to pay in lawful tender. Well, if I look up the definition of tender, the tender is to unconditionally offer money or performance to meet an obligation. Does this look very similar to a promissory note? Okay. See, I'm not bringing up these things because, you know, I want to keep it theoretical. I mean, a lot of people like to keep this theoretical or have this type of mystique as it comes to this, but you can look up this stuff yourself. You can put this in Google. You can put this in whatever software where you research, and you can look up these concepts. You can go on DuckDuckGo, whatever the case may be, dark web. I don't even know. You don't even have to do all of that to find this information. You may be able to find even more information, but the point is you create the value. So that's where you shift the burden on them and pretty much ask them if they are creating value themselves. You can ask them if they already made money. And so it's not even about you attempting to create your own negotiable. You won't really need to create a negotiable instrument if you just shift the burden of proof onto them and have them prove that your negotiable instrument at the original loan agreement didn't pay for the loan, my baby. So now that we kind of got all the way to the end of this video, understand that your signature was never just paperwork. It was the asset that funded the loan. But they don't want you to know that, because when you realize you're the value, you stop playing the debtor. You start moving as the creditor. You start moving as the person who is the source. You start understanding that you are the true power. And that's what everything is about on my channel, is about you reclaiming your power. Okay, some of us want to be sovereign, but we don't truly know our power. See, the true sovereignty comes in understanding your power and how to be able to use it. The true sovereignty comes from the knowledge that you actually have about yourself and what you can do. The way that they keep you from being sovereign, the way that they keep control, is by knowing more than you. They know how powerful you are more than you do, and they're willing to use that against you. They're willing to use that as a power against you, by saying, hey, or sign this agreement. It's a loan agreement where I'm going to give you money that I'm going to have you're going to borrow money from me. That's not the truth. What if I knew that everything that you was telling me was bullshit from the start? And I already knew, and I was just going to, use that against you. Oh, they said that they was lending me money, but they never actually did. I asked them to prove the source of the money, and they couldn't prove it to me, Your Honor. Yeah. So thank you guys for watching this video. Typically we'll go 30 minutes, this, that, and the third, but I do have some activities, things to do today. So if you got all the way to the end, if you want to be able to learn more about promissory notes, you want to be able to learn how to discharge debt, you want to learn the aspect of debt validation, have the resources and tools, and be a part of a lifetime community, tap in with the Complete Debt Guide. Okay, anybody that's a part of the Complete Debt Guide are able to resell the product themselves. Dig me? So go ahead and tap into the Complete Debt Guide. Number 2, if you want to work with me one-on-one, go ahead and tap into the one-on-one mentorship. I'm helping people not only fix their credit, not only helping them get funding, but also helping them understand these concepts as well. Okay, putting together an offer right now specific for people. Now, obviously, I'm not taking everybody, only specific people. All right, so not anybody can just get into that one-on-one mentorship. Okay. Number 3, tap in with me on Instagram at biz.nick. Okay, you tap with me on Instagram at biz.nick. Join the broadcast channel. You'll get updates every time I post a video. I post Monday through Friday. All right. Also, shoot me a follow on Twitch. When we reach 100,000, not 100,000. When we reach 100 followers, I will go live. I may go live before then, but go ahead and tap into the Twitch, man. I'm seeing y'all hitting the follow button every day. So go ahead and hit that follow button on Twitch, because I will be doing these live breakdowns live, and maybe even creating a separate channel for my live VODs. All right. My last question is, have you ever wondered where your note really went? Comment below. Remember to like, subscribe, turn on the post notifications, because you know where the value is. And as soon as you know that, you stop chasing money and start reclaiming your power. Thank you guys for watching this video all the way to the end. I love you guys. Comment the word discharge if you got this far, and I'll see you next time.